is the place to do it. Hey, John Bartell here. You know, as a professional road tripper, I understand the importance of a good pit stop, and that's why I always plan my trips on stopping at roadside attractions. And with years of driving under my belt, I've put together a pretty good list of them for you. But we're gonna start things off today in the Wonder Valley, at one of my favorite bathroom stops, the Glass Outhouse. Before driving into the vast deserts of Wonder Valley, California, I suggest using a bathroom in either Joshua Tree or 29 Palms. Because if you don't, there's really only one place to go. You're telling me these actually work?
Yes, they have flushing toilets in them. Come here, I'll show you.
Okay, all right. Welcome to the Glass Outhouse art installation. Oh, yeah. An eye-opening lavatory experience for when you really have to go. People just kind of go in here and they...
Yeah, well, you can see out, but we can't see in.
It's true. The one-way glass does provide you with a certain amount of privacy, but when Laurel Seidel opened up her desert art gallery, the Glass Outhouse wasn't supposed to be the main attraction or the name of the place. It was simply built out of necessity.
I said, well, there's no tall bushes you can go behind out here that you can't see through, okay? We need a restroom. I don't want people trekking through my house.
As you will come to find, Laurel likes to recycle, so instead of getting rid of some old one-way glass, she put it to use, just like everything else on the property. What are these things over here? Are they, did they come from someplace, or?
Well, everything came from someplace.
Admission into the Glass Outhouse is free, and so is Laurel's wit and sass. As for the origin of her things, she says they come from here and there.
Set it up so it's humorous or artistic or, whatever. And
Laurel's a bit of a free spirit. She worked at a number of jobs and traveled all over the nation collecting knickknacks. Eventually, she and her husband bought this place in the desert to store all their things and start a farm.
A rabbit barn. We raised rabbits commercially here.
When Laurel got tired of raising the rabbits, she converted the barn into an art gallery.
It turned out to be one of those, if you build it, they will come type things, because it's a not-for-profit and there's no fees.
Because Laurel doesn't charge any commission fees, she gets art from all over the world, which makes a very diverse art gallery. You'll even find some of Laurel's paintings. What kind of art would you call this? This is a feather art?
I guess. I don't know. Okay. It's just art.
It's a bird on a bird feather.
Yeah.
After looking at some art, you may want to consider getting married. The Glass Outhouse Art Gallery has its own chapel. And you said how many people have been married here so far?
10. Today was the 10th.
The chapel's not big, but it is free and beautifully designed by her husband. But just to be clear, she says it wasn't the husband she originally moved here with.
Actually 4.
Okay. All right, okay.
I had to kiss a lot of frogs before I found the right guy.
Sometimes that happens.
It took me 70 years.
You could use a restroom back in Joshua Tree or 29 Palms before venturing into the Wonder Valley, but why? Is this like a metaphor for something, or is it you just...
You gotta go.
Here at the Glass Outhouse, the toilet is clean, the art is interesting, and the company is more than memorable. I don't know if anyone's ever told you this before, but I feel like you've lived a very colorful life here.
Oh, you have no idea.
One road known for its roadside attractions is Route 66. If you're traveling through the Mojave Desert, I suggest stopping off at Elmer's Bottle Tree Ranch. Just off historic Route 66 in San Bernardino County, there's a forest of trees growing in the middle of the desert. Blue ones, green ones, brown ones, and even clear ones. Like leaves on trees, the wind shakes colorful bottles hanging from a metal tree trunk planted on a sandy lot in the town of Oro Grande.
This is kind of just like a bit of color in like the bleak desert here.
That it is.
The bottle trees, as they're known, were built by the late Elmer Long.
It's a pipe load of memories.
A folk artist who passed away in 2019.
He retired from the cement plant, but what did he do? He created art. He truly did.
Brian McKenzie's the current caretaker of the Bottle Tree Ranch, and if you catch him walking through the glassy forest, he might just tell you how it all started.
Where did he get all of these bottles?
Well, I mean, some are donated, a lot of them are found.
Brian says when Elmer was a kid, for fun, he and his father would hike the desert and collect old glass bottles.
Do you have any idea of how many bottles are out here?
He didn't count, so neither did I.
With bottles piling up, Elmer decided to display them, so in the early 2000s, he got some old metal pipe and welded tree limbs for the bottles to sit on.
There's a whole lot more in here than just bottles.
Route 66 is known for its odd roadside attractions, and Brian says it's not uncommon for the Bottle Tree Ranch to see 500 people a day, and the forest is always growing.
There's 200 plus trees. I've added probably about 15 myself.
Elmer loved to inspire his visitors. Donations are accepted, but here there's no entry fee.
What do you think Elmer hoped people walked away with?
A smile.
A man's home is his castle, and if you're driving down the 210 in LA County, take the Glendora exit and tour Rubel's castle, where one man's trash is another man's home. Mansions and even villas are pretty common in Los Angeles County, but towering above the suburban homes in Glendora is a castle, but not just any castle. There looks like there's a lot of, I don't know what is this junk or what do you?
Yeah, scrap. See, there's a Volkswagen motor in there and a toaster.
Oh.
And
The cobblestone scrap heap fortress is known as Rubel Castle, the dream home of Michael Rubel.
he was a builder since he was a little kid. His father died when he was 6, and he just started building fortresses and digging tunnels.
The multi-story junkyard tree fort in this picture was just one of many janky structures that 10-year-old Michael built in his youth. Scott Rubel, who's Michael's nephew, says his uncle was a half-feral child who grew up working on a citrus orchard.
So Michael wanted to live in the packing house. 10 years later, his dream came true.
When he turned 19, his mother, Dorothy Duell Rubel, bought the packing house and the land around it, partly to keep Michael out of trouble and partly for entertainment value.
His mother was really into partying.
Michael's mom was an actor on Broadway and was well known in the entertainment biz. She constantly hosted movie stars and entertainers in the packing house, which became known as the Tin Palace.
Jack Benny was one of them. Alfred Hitchcock, President Eisenhower was here in 1963.
Here's a funny story about President Eisenhower trying to use the packing house elevator.
Michael pushed the down button and down he went, and then the fuse blew. And Eisenhower got stuck with his head sticking out of the floor.
Over the years, Michael tried his luck in many failed entrepreneurial ventures, including growing eggplants and raising frogs in the old concrete irrigation reservoir on the property.
Michael pulled the plug here, and there was a big spout of water came about a mile down the road, and frogs were falling out of the sky.
When Michael pulled the plug on the reservoir and it fully emptied, he decided to start on his lifelong dream of building a castle and clock tower.
There was a lot of building going on here and no one knew
Oh
it.
yeah, we built for years before the neighbors could see what we were doing.
Working from the bottom of the empty 12-foot reservoir, Michael enlisted the help of artists and his nephew Scott to erect the metal frame which would become the clock tower.
And we put electric winches up in the palm trees and lifted the whole thing up. So it just appeared suddenly. The neighbors didn't know what was going on in here.
Michael had no money, but he had a knack for getting free materials and inspiring young artists to work for him in return for space of their own.
So this was a shared space.
Yeah, there's a lot of art always going on in here. So people had their own motivations for building their own little spaces.
Rock by rock and junk pile by junk pile, Michael and his friends eventually finished the clock tower and the castle in 1986, all without a single building permit from the city.
We had our contentious moments.
Despite some pushback from the city, the mayor eventually issued Michael a proclamation of good community standing, ending years of conflict and endorsing the castle as a local monument.
They fought us because they sort of had to, but on an individual level, they loved us.
Michael Rubel died in 2007. Today, his legacy lives on through the eyes of tourists that get to explore the castle and its many quirks.
You can see all the hard work here, but what you can't see is all the parties, you know, and that's what really built this place, is hundreds of friends.
No, that's not a rumble strip you're hearing. That's classical music. Maybe you recognize the tune?
It's the theme song to The Long Ranger.
It is the Lone Ranger song, but to be more specific, it's the William Tell Overture by Italian composer Rossini. The real question, though, why are those notes imprinted in asphalt?
It was a commercial that wanted to be done by Honda.
The commercial/publicity stunt advertised the Honda Civic. Just one note, though, the road you see in that commercial is not the same road people drive on today.
It was a big hit by all except for the residents. They could hear it at night.
The noise complaints were so bad that the city spent $35,000 to remove and relocate the musical road right next to the airport.
If you go 100 miles an hour, it's not going to play the song for you. It has to be 55 miles an hour.
All right, 55 miles an hour on the dot. Here we go. Wasn't horrible. I guess that's just another reason to drive the speed limit. If you've ever wondered where the center of the world is located, you'll find it along Interstate 8 at the border of California and Arizona in the tiny town of Felicity. This is the center of the world in Felicity, California, at the corner of Imperial County.
Welcome to Felicity.
Thank you.
And this is the mayor. What year did you start Felicity?
When I sold my company, I had a few dollars. We moved to the bare desert here.
It's really hard to explain why the center of the world is located in the Algodones Desert, but the short story is this.
I thought it would be nice to buy a township of pure desert and do something with it in my old age.
Born in France, Jacques and his family fled to America after Nazis made advances in World War II. At age 14, he hitchhiked across the United States and eventually joined the Marine Corps. His resume includes everything from banking to real estate and even competitive parachuting. The guy circumnavigated the globe in his own plane, and in the mid-1980s, he gave up everything to build a town on 2,800 acres of Imperial County desert. Felicity, who's it named after?
It's named for my wife. I figured that naming a town for her was cheaper than buying her a fur coat.
The money he saved from the fur coat went directly to decades of property development, starting off with this pyramid-shaped monument, to which he convinced the Imperial County supervisors to pass a law proclaiming that this spot was the center of the world.
Property laws define the boundaries of countries and are recognized by the United Nations. And 4 years later, we received international recognition.
It's a little unclear whether Jacques' legal explanation will hold up in court. Either way, it didn't stop him from building this, the History in Granite. Who is the History in Granite for?
It's for, hopefully, humans of the future.
Day in and day out, since about 2002, etchers like Shelley Evans continue to describe small summaries of world history on about 416 different granite slabs.
I may not retain the information, but it's nice to learn a little bit while I'm working.
Jacques researches and writes the historical summaries himself, and they document everything from Greek philosophy to animal evolution. And because the history is literally written in stone, Jacques believes they could last over 4,000 years.
Think how happy future archaeologists will be.
Hey, John Bartell here. We're checking out some of my favorite roadside attractions. You know, road tripping can be a little confusing at times with all the directions and distances, but I've never been more confused than the time I went up Highway 101 in Mendocino County to check out Confusion Hill. Many things in life are confusing. Algebra's confusing. IKEA furniture is confusing. Heck, the inner workings of a posi-track differential is confusing. But if you're in the Redwood Forest in Piercy, California, there's nothing more confusing than Confusion Hill. Home of the rare, elusive chippelope. What is a chippelope? If you're looking for a textbook example of an odd roadside attraction, Confusion Hill is it. Pass through the gift shop and enter the Gravity House, and you'll see what I mean.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't fall on me. Don't fall. Strange forces of gravity present all sorts of anomalies here. Golf balls roll up the hill, people stand crooked, and getting out of your seat is nearly impossible.
Well, you sit in it and you try to get out of it without using your hands.
Owner Carolyn Campbell has been giving tours of this place since 1997, and she still can't explain what's going on here.
I don't know how to explain it. I really don't.
Confusion Hill was discovered by George Hudson in 1949. After World War II, he visited two other gravity-defying places, the Mystery Spot in Santa Cruz and the Oregon Vortex. George became obsessed with these places that defied the laws of nature, and after years of searching, he found this place along Highway 101, where the trees were a little deformed.
Well, I don't know, the tree is twisted, and that, I think, is from something in the ground here.
Well, there's never been any scientific study on the property, but the visual evidence is pretty puzzling. Depending on where you stand, you might just grow a few inches.
Oh, man, look at me. Now I'm 6 foot. Basketball player.
As for those rare, elusive chipolopes advertised on the sign out front, Carolyn says that it's kind of a confusing story on how the half antelope, half chipmunk animals ended up here.
And all of a sudden it came up this storm, and here was this antelope, and they just became chipolopes.
If you ask me, Carolyn's story is about as believable as her flamingo petting zoo, but in all fairness, she says that her late husband, Doug, used to tell the story much better.
When your husband bought this place, did he just love weird roadside attractions?
Oh, yes. He put so much of himself in here.
Doug passed away in 2018, but when he and Carolyn bought the place in 1997, they worked hard to bring Confusion Hill out of disrepair and saved a lot of the historic attractions, like this 80-year-old wooden shoe house and the world's tallest freestanding redwood chainsaw carving.
It's 40 feet tall.
You don't have to understand everything at Confusion Hill. In fact, that's the point. It's okay to be perplexed and laugh a little.
I don't understand it. It's so confusing.
At the center of San Diego County's Anza Borrego Desert, giant metal beasts stand watch over a roadside art installation known as Galleta Meadows. If you're looking for a landmark in the vastness of the Anza Borrego Desert, you're looking at it. Dragons, scorpions, grasshoppers, and even camels. These giant metal sculptures are all over the place, and around here they go by many names.
Dad put them up. I think he referred to them as sky art. Other people, I've heard them say the beasts of Borrego.
Helena Avery is the president of the Under the Sun Foundation, the organization who now cares for the sculptures. But her late father, Dennis Avery, was the man who commissioned the statues to be built for one simple reason.
To do something interesting.
It was Dennis Avery who had the vision, but it was artist Ricardo Bracetta who built the beasts.
They were put up between 2008 and 2010, all of them.
In all, there's about 130 metal statues that are scattered all over Mr. Avery's 1,600-acre property, which he calls Galleta Meadows, a place that is now open to the public to drive around and view the sculptures for absolutely free. If you come in March, see the statues through a different lens at the Candlewood Art Festival, a multi-day event where artists integrate their work alongside the metal beasts.
The town really embraced it. Now it's a big part of the identity here.
It's strange, it's weird, it's mysterious, and you've probably seen the bumper sticker. The mystery spot is Santa Cruz's strangest tourist trap. Just a warning, there's some really corny jokes at this pit stop. Just 5 miles from the Santa Cruz Wharf, and world-class surfing is one of California's most famous unexplained phenomenons.
Yep, feel the burn, feel the burn.
Daniel Kelly is both tour guide and aspiring comedian at the mystery spot.
So how did everyone enjoy that complimentary workout session?
As Daniel says, if you pay for an $8 tour, you only get $8 jokes.
Small warning. You may feel dizziness, nausea, and random fits of laughter. Do not worry, these effects will only last about 2 to 3 weeks.
All right, the mystery spot was discovered by George Prather after his cabin slid down a hill in the 1940s. Soon after, he started noticing strange things like round objects rolling uphill.
Come to a stop and stay there, correct? Correct, and give it a little push. Whoa, that's kind of freaky.
Not impressed? How about you step inside the cabin and stand awkwardly close to Daniel?
Oh, okay. What angle am I standing right now? About 17.
17 degrees. George Prather couldn't live in the cabin, so he turned it into a mysterious tourist attraction, and it caught the attention of a Life magazine photographer who took this famous picture.
My favorite part of the picture is the woman, because her name was Eileen.
Okay, Daniel's jokes weren't a part of the tour back then, and neither was an explanation for the odd things that were happening at this mysterious spot.
Strange gravitational anomalies that spit in the face of physics.
There's more $8 jokes where that came from. Experience the mystery spot for yourself and get a free bumper sticker. Well, you know, in my opinion, the perfect roadside attraction requires 3 things. You gotta have food, you gotta have a bathroom, and you gotta have some eye-catching memorabilia or an experience. And in my opinion, the perfect roadside attraction is in Riverside County at Tio's Tacos. In the Inland Empire, every day is Taco Tuesday, but there's one taco shop that serves tacos in a sustainable way. If you're a taqueria in the city of Riverside, it can be hard to stand out, and Martin Sanchez knows that.
Because in the world, he's got a lot of restaurants with good food, but I want to make it something different.
And what better way to stand out than with a giant sculpture made out of garbage?
I use everything recycled to the restaurant. We don't throw away nothing for 25 years.
Running a restaurant creates a lot of waste, but instead of throwing it out, Martin got creative.
You fill it with...
Yeah, I fill it. I make it a chicken wire, the piece, and I fill it to the can, to the anything.
Martin says you can make anything out of trash if you put your mind to it. Tin cans can be mariachi players, old bottles can be bricks, and his daughter's old toys can be, well, this thing.
Are these Barbie dolls?
These Barbie dolls is using my daughters and is played to these Barbies.
Martin has no formal artistic training, and he doesn't call himself an artist. Instead, he's more of a dreamer.
Yes, this is American dreams, and this is my dream come true.
Martin grew up in Michoacan, Mexico, and was forced to work at a young age after his father died.
Two Chinese. This is my first work in Mexico when I have 5 years old.
Martin eventually made it to California by selling fruit and nuts.
When I got opportunity to buy a little car of tacos, and I started right here in the United States in 1984 in East LA.
In 1990, Martin opened up Tio's Tacos, and little by little, he built the place up by hand with whatever he could find.
The bottles are sort of the bricks? Is that what this is?
No, I don't use a brick, right? And this time I don't have money for the buy bridge, but I use the balance.
Martin's upcycled artwork now spans an entire city block. You'll find beautiful mosaics from broken tiles and odd sculptures that he says were inspired by his memories from Mexico.
Are you done? I mean, is this gonna keep going? Or?
No, I'm not done. When I passed away, I am done.
Martin admits in the beginning, the city didn't see his artistic vision, but now Tio's Tacos is a cherished landmark that Riverside is proud of. If you're driving through Humboldt County's Bigfoot country, you'll want to stop off in Garberville. The legend of Bigfoot is a tourist trap with one of the largest collections of Sasquatch memorabilia you'll find. It's pretty hard to miss this place.
It's just a roadside attraction. Sneaks up on you on every corner.
General Manager Mike White says, at first glance, Legend of Bigfoot is pretty much what you think it is. A store that sells Bigfoot stuff.
How many Bigfoot statues do you suppose you sell in a year?
Well, these ones here, probably close to 600, 700. Yeah.
There's no doubt you'll find Bigfoot here, but Mike says you'll also find some of his other friends, like Shrek the Ogre, or this giant dinosaur, and a big fat photogenic bear.
You just kind of sit here
Yep.
For pictures.
Pictures opportunities. A lot of people take pictures up here.
Huh.
Eye-catching chainsaw sculptures can be found all over the property, including this tree house.
Is this where Bigfoot sleeps?
He sleeps when it rains, yeah. This is his house.
Speaking of rain, it's always raining at the Redwood Fountain. Mike says this old moss-covered stump was pulled out of the river 45 years ago and preserved by the misting showers of the fountain.
Those look like shower heads.
They are. Ingenuity.
The property's just a few acres, but it's truly a magnet for mythical creatures of all kinds.
This is like the Gnome Grotto, the Gnome Hill or
Yep.
something.
This is where they migrate during the day. They stay up here and they come out at night.
Driving through the redwood forest is like driving through a sea of green, so adding a little color and imagination to that drive was a big part of the business plan when the Carlson family opened up the store back in 1978.
You gotta be a little quirky to own a Bigfoot store.
Oh yeah, definitely. And to work here, so.
The Carlson family still owns the store, but moved away a few years ago. That's why they left Mike in charge to take care of the customers and, of course, Bigfoot, if he ever shows up.
So, have you seen Bigfoot?
No.
No.
Can't say I have.
All right.
On the bright side, Mike has heard his fair share of Bigfoot stories, and he'd love to hear yours as well.
Well, thanks for watching Bartell's Backroads and checking out some of my favorite roadside attractions with me. I hope it inspires you to pull off the road and check out a few yourself. I'm John Bartell. Hope to see you on the Backroads.